welcome back. Well, last week we brought you two stories of alleged pedophiles who died before they could be prosecuted. Apartheid-era police officer Joao Rodrigues and a former police station commander, Zbiegniew Andrzej Weclaw, died last week. Both men stood accused of sexually abusing their own children, and the crimes were allegedly perpetrated decades ago. For Rodrigues' daughter Tilana and Weclaw's son Daniel, has justice delayed been justice denied? In a country that's been ravaged by rape culture, what legal recourse do victims of sexual abuse victims actually have if their abusers die before they stand trial? Well, attorney William Booth joins us now. William, thank you so much for your time this morning. They were both very sad interviews that we conducted with the alleged victims, especially because their parents were the alleged perpetrators. It happened a long time ago. Their parents died. Is there any recourse now for them?
Good morning, Annika. Obviously, it is very sad. There have been a number of these kind of cases recently where, within the family, sexual offences are committed, either sexual assault or, in fact, rape, be they on a male or be it on a female. So it is of concern, and that there are just such a high incidence of these cases, not only in South Africa but internationally. The problem, if one looks at it first of all from a criminal prosecution perspective, the problem there is that even if a charge has actually been laid against an alleged perpetrator, if he or she dies, that is pretty much the end of the criminal prosecution, because then there is no person to prosecute. There has to be an accused who is arrested, is brought to court, is entitled to obviously apply for bail, and then there will be the trial, where evidence is presented to try and secure a conviction against the alleged perpetrator. But where people are deceased, where the perpetrators are deceased, you don't have that. So that is the problem with regard to a criminal prosecution. Unfortunately, it cannot continue, even if it was partly heard. Let's say there was an arrest, and perpetrator is brought to court. In the middle of the trial, if he or she dies, that will be the end of that case. You can't continue without an accused person. So, even at that late stage, and even if he were convicted and sentenced, and during those proceedings, let's say before conviction maybe, or even during sentencing, before actual sentence, if he should die, that's pretty much the end of the criminal case. The other issue is whether there's any scope for a civil claim, and with a deceased, any claim against the estate will rest with the executor of the estate. And it also depends whether or not civil action has already been instituted. So, and again, without, let's say, the defendant in the case with the civil matter, whether or not you're going to be able to continue, because how does the executor deal with a civil claim for damages when there is no person alive against whom the civil claim has been instituted? So it depends from case to case. There's also the issue whether or not, there could be a claim against the Minister of Police. But that would only be in a situation where, let's say, during the course of their work, these offences were committed, which I believe isn't the situation here. If you take an example, somebody's raped while they're in police custody. So even that person has died, the claim could be against the Minister of Police. You obviously still need witnesses. There've got to be witnesses to be able to present to court, even if it is a civil court. And then the other issue is time limits. So with regard to civil claims, there are time limits. So unfortunately for the victims, there are all kinds of problems. But, my advice to them would be you'd obviously need to go and get specialist legal opinion as to any civil claim against the estate. And the point is, how much is in the estate? If there's no money in the civil claim, you're sitting with the problem, because the civil claim is for monetary compensation, you see.
Oh, it sounds very difficult for those victims to get any kind of recourse from the justice system. It would have to come from somewhere else, I would presume, which is complex. Thank you so much, Cape Town-based attorney William Booth.